Hi, I'm Matt from hockeyreviews.ca, and this is the CCM Eflex 5 snapshot review for the blocker. I've done the pads already. The glove video is coming soon as well, so check that out. Normally I would have an Eflex 4 to go over the differences, and I'll put that kind of my old review up over there. I had to buy this set outright just to do content on it and to make it. I can't just borrow it, so I don't have the money to buy an Eflex 4 set or to find an Eflex 4 set to compare the differences. So unfortunately, this isn't going to be an Eflex 4 comparison. Instead, we'll compare it to the Axis set that is right here. You might recognize this blocker from the Axis review that I did. Person who set this is lent them to me then. He now wants to sell them. He knows I have a bigger reach than just his Kijiji post, so this set will be for sale. The link in the description. He couldn't sell them for what he wanted for them and just didn't want to ship them out, so he sent them to me. I've shipped out gear all the time from old sets I use, so I have no problem with that. So this set is for sale if you're interested. Regardless of that, before we start this review almost didn't happen just like the Hyperlight review. I had to buy this set straight outright. So if you want to see me review equipment or any specific piece of equipment, please reach out to the companies and let them know on social media, stuff like that. I don't want custom sets to do like for free just so I can get reviews on. I'm very happy with a piece of their demo fleet. I know most of the companies have gear for demo fleet so people can test them out, stuff like that. I'm very happy just to take like a set like that for a week and then ship it back on my own dime. Totally happy to do that. But that won't happen unless you reach out to companies and let them know you want to see that type of content. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel so I can make content like this and keep buying stuff so I can actually do reviews and everything like that. And if you're in the United States and you need to buy anything hockey related and you want to help out the channel, check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey and Pure Goalie. Clicking on that link, making a purchase gives me a kickback, so help support the channel and making content like this. If you're buying Eflex 5 gear, click that link and then make a purchase of your Eflex 5 gear. That would greatly support the channel. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out the link to Patreon, buy me a coffee. Everything that goes through there comes right back into here. So again, I can keep making more content. Like I said, unfortunately, we don't have an Eflex 4 to really compare with on this. What I will do right now is just go over the pieces of this itself. And then after that, we'll go over the Axis piece. So it'll be like kind of a two-part thing here. CCM for a while didn't do anything to their blockers, basically. They did very, very tiny changes. Now they really thinned out the board, and that was evident on the Axis. That comes to the Eflex 5 as well. Again, check out my Eflex 4 video and you can really see the comparison on that. But basically the gist of this is really similar to the Axis with only a slight details. The board, you can hear it, is okayly bouncy. The Axis had bigger rebounds in my Eflex 4 for sure, and I'm pretty sure that's going to translate here. CCM really doesn't do a huge differentiate between their lines on the blockers themselves. They do have a ton of cost options, which I'll cover in a bit. So this isn't going to be crazy like Bauer or any of the really crazy rebounding blockers, mostly Bauer, but it's going to be okay, and it's definitely going to be better than what the Eflex 4 was. The sidewall, I can't remember how soft the Eflex 1 was, but it's not like this one isn't bad at all. Pretty decently thick piece of foam right there, and that's the movement, which isn't awful. That'll do a pretty good job. And once you put your hand in there as well, it's going to move even less because your hand is in the way. The index finger protection on this one stock is just that straight piece and not the curved piece, which we'll look at later on. It does have Velcro right here, but it's not really adjustable. You can kind of see it right in there. It is sewn in all the way through too, so I'm pretty sure that's just to hold these two pieces a little bit better together. It does work very well as an index finger piece though, and I'll show off how this whole thing works out with a stick in a second. You still have your pretty padded and comfy thumb. You can actually take off the Velcro here to look at what this foam is. That is pretty padded all the way through. You have a harder exterior shell with the padding behind it. CCM has always had pretty solid blockers, especially like the thumbs and stuff like that. So there's no huge changes there, and it's pretty decent all the way. The fingertips and everything saw a pretty solid upgrade on the Axis, just how it was all curved and more form-fitting to the fingers, and that translates over here as well too. You can really see the shape of these now come so they actually follow your fingertips pretty well. Much better than what CCM used to do. They were one of the last companies to really go with this route for the the fingertip protection right here. It's still not super big and it's still kind of out there, but it's a lot better than what it used to be. It does have that really nice padding up here as well, as you can see. The best part about this blocker, in my opinion, is this D3O piece in the index finger. There's only a couple companies that actually have padding here. Brian's is one of them. CCM is another one. This is a great little piece here. Now, it definitely does make the index finger feel kind of blocky because this piece doesn't really flex that way, as you can see. So it kind of feels a little weird, and when you pull the finger down, it doesn't come down perfectly straight, but it's not a huge issue. I really like this, especially because your finger is always going to be straight out anyways, or usually on a paddle. I really like this because with this piece, this is really going to help deaden shots. Basically, it's going to give you triple layers of puck protection through here, and this is going to act really well. This is an option, so you can remove it on the custom stuff. A lot of pros don't have this or didn't have this back when Lefebvre was making the gear, but now you can actually kind of see it on some of the new ones. It's being there on their blockers. I'm a huge fan of this. This is a great design. It's one of the better things CCM does in the entire line, is have this piece right there. So that is really nice. Here is what the index finger does. So you can see how that straight piece sits just right there to really close that gap. And then you have it all the way there. CCM does a pretty good job here. And like, I'm a pretty big fan of this design. And then you also have that D3O coming on the other side. So that's a really good design there. And here's how that fingertip protection kind of works. So you can see you still have exposed here because it doesn't come all the way down, but it's much better than what it used to be. And it is curved like that. So again, this could be better, but it's okay, and it does a decent enough job. You can see where that D3O comes in right up there. So you get that extra coverage. The palm on this is just their normal gray Nash. It's kind of soft. It's not super soft. It's not Warrior soft, but it's definitely not as slippery as Warrior is either. So it's fine there. And you do have your padded fingers up here, which is basically standard, nothing, no crazy foams or anything in there. The other part that I really like about this glove is this tightening strap. Such a genius design. I don't understand why more companies don't have this. Super simple to loosen. And then it just loosens up all the way. And then super simple to tighten. I don't understand why everyone doesn't do this now. This is absolutely genius. And I really, really wish this was incorporated everything. Even the Axis doesn't have it stock, but it is on the Eflex. This was on the 4 as well. And I praised it then. I'm going to praise it again. Love this. Simple, great. Also great detailed by CCM. This could just been a nylon strap, but they did put a little piece of speed skin. Small details, very nice touch by them there. The outside board, as you can see, decent finger protection here, like I mentioned. And just a normal slimmer board than what was before, but it's still a very stiff board. So there's not a ton of bend there, as you can see. So in the past, there has been some companies that have had kind of cheaper boards where you could bend and that would definitely wear out. This is pretty stiff, as you can see right there. So I wouldn't really have any issues with durability on this. I can't imagine. Obviously, I can't test this out for time and use it over and over and over again to see, but it is what it is. And the big change on this, and I want to call out a mistake I made. I thought this was a molded foam on the NHL goalies when this set was out. Basically, Markstrom and them were wearing it, because this comes in like the bright yellow and everything like that. And I thought it was the same material that was on the knee roll. It's not. It's just speed skin. You can see it there. It is kind of an interesting design, how it's just like a one-piece cuff all around, and it is adjustable, so it can be tighter just like that, as you can see. And you can see how nice and round it is there, and nothing. There's a little bunch up down here, but there's not a lot of bunch up. And then you can loosen off just like that to really open it up, and you can see how it gets all bunched up and everything. It's fine. I'm just pointing it out. The cuff does allow for pretty decent open, as you can see there. It's not the best, I would say, but it's pretty good. So no complaints there, and just a different design compared to what like they offer in the Axis and everything like that. This is also offered in a full piece wrap, and I'm not sure what that looks like. I haven't seen an Eflex one with the full piece, but we'll compare it to the Axis full piece just in the future. But I do like that piece all the way through, and it is kind of an interesting design, and I'm kind of using this style of material. They use it on the catching glove as well, instead of just normal nylons and stuff like that. I wish it was a molded foam. I think that would have been a nice touch. It wasn't. I was wrong on those posts, so I want to make that correction out there. The gray Nash, you can see right there for the padding in the palm or the backhand, and it is pretty soft. You kind of see there. It feels comfortable when it's on your hand and everything. I did feel shots in the Axis blocker, so I'm not really sure how well that's going to hold up, because it does feel pretty soft, and there's not a huge gap between the padding there. Like, there's not a ton there. Unfortunately, with CCM, while they do have decent custom options, that isn't an option on their blockers. You can't add more padding there or anything. You can do it on Brian's and Vaughn. Obviously, you can't do that on Bauer either, so just to give a straight comparison. But it's comfortable. It feels okay from the get-go. It should be fine kind of all around. One thing I do want to say is you can see that little thumb foam right there. As you can see, that little gray piece in there. And you can see it better right there, and you can Velcro this out and take it out and do whatever you want with it. I'm not sure if that's to clean or if that's just how the construction option on it, but it is there. Graphic wise, unfortunately, this is obviously an all white one, but this graphic will match up perfectly with the pads, and I think looks really good. It still has that UV printing here and some of the details here. This one's kind of like grippier, which is interesting. So you kind of get stuck on it more than anything else. This one's all speed skin, but you can obviously option that on or off. I really like the look of this blocker. I think it looks really good. I actually thought this one looked decently too. I hated the M graphic, but it grew on me. This one looks really good with the pads, but the glove doesn't match at all, but that's another conversation. Overall, there's not a ton here. It's just CCM blocker. It's pretty standard. CCM hasn't done really crazy things with their blockers for a while. It's been pretty standard, and people kind of like that, so I can't really complain that much. We'll go over the custom options in a second with the Axis, and then I'll do another video kind of comparing the custom stuff on this. But CCM does have a few nice things on here that I want to call it, like the V30 and that strap are really nice. It's kind of weird to me how CCM does their blockers, because both of them are basically the same thing with like very slight differences, and then you can just option them to be the same. For Eflex, it's kind of weird because this is the softer face pad and technically has softer rebounds unless you get the custom ones with the max rebound. But what I mean by that is, do you really want like a super or bigger rebounds on this one compared to Axis or vice versa? I don't really see much CCM can do here if they want to keep everything the same, and it's kind of what they're doing. I would have liked to see this be molded foam, but it's fine. I'd almost like to see CCM do a molded foam on here as the blocker face, and to really do like dead rebounds on this and to really make it an option. Maybe nobody wants dead blocker rebounds, which is honestly probably a thing. But A, I would like that option to be there. And two, if they're using that molded foam on the face, I think it might be a good idea to change something up on here just to make it a little bit different than the Axis. They're not going to do that. CCM has done no huge changes between these and between their blockers for a long time. You could grab a Reebok P2 blocker and it's going to be really similar to this. Very slight differences between them. So it's not like there's a huge thing that CCM is going to change here. It's just something I'm brainstorming. Now for the comparisons between the Axis and the Eflex 5. So both of these should be the middle hand position. And I say should be because that's the stock option on the CCM Eflex. And that is what was ordered on this one. But there are differences in this, and you can see it right here. You can see how much, and we'll get that on camera a little bit better. So you can see the difference between the actual sideboard position. So I don't know if this was changed just based on feedback. Maybe too many pucks were coming up here to cover up kind of more of the arm, or if this was just a reduction thing, or if this, like what the reason of this is. But this one definitely looks like it is a lower hand position than what this one was, and you can see it down here too where the cuff comes down here. Again, I don't know if this is just a difference between the side cut, like sidewall on the two, or if this is like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm just calling out these differences. But the hand position itself, the fingers still come the exact same spot at the bottom, and I measured the padding here, and the padding here is at the exact same position all the way up. So like here and here is the exact same position with the same distance from each other. So the hand position isn't changed on that. It's just the sidewall has been adjusted a little bit on that. The shape and everything is the same. I put them right next to each other to see. I also bashed each to do this, and they felt the same as well. The big difference on this one that you can see here is the difference in the index finger protection, which is right here, versus the curved one right here. And that's an option between both, so it doesn't really matter. And compared to the curved one, so you can see the curved one doesn't quite cover all the spot right there, but it does cover more down the finger right there too. Again, it's pretty solid design. Personally, I like the straight one. I think it covers a little bit more and does a little bit better of a job there. But some people really like this design. Bobrovsky is known for this design. A bunch of NHL goalies, I think more probably use this design than the other one, but I like the other one a little bit better. But again, it's fine and does a good job. Another change on the Eflex compared to the Axis blocker that I noticed is actually where this index finger protection is sewn in. So you can see how this one is pulled up a little bit right here compared to here, and how close that one is. So you can see right there's a much bigger gap. Now, I'm not sure why they did this. I don't know if this is because this hand position on this one is, I think, whatever the stock one is, I'll overlay it. This one is the tight one. So this one's much smaller, so you can see right there. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but what I can say is this glove, when I was using it and dropped my stick, I noticed that this would come in the way. So whenever I try to pick it up, this would kind of get in the way of picking up, like I'd go on the ice. This would hit the stick, it'd be harder to pick up. I noticed that on this glove and it was surprising because it's not really big. I can say, as you can see, index fingers are right there. So when you try to go grab something, it does make sense that it gets in the way. So as you can see, this part, the tips aren't like right in front like this. So when you do go reach out for something, I can definitely see this getting in the way less than what the Axis one was. And you being able to kind of reach with that with your fingers a little bit better. So it might not get in the way as much. For a test, doing that was perfect, fine. I could pick it up totally easy. Didn't feel the fingertip protection at all. Versus the Axis when it goes down. These definitely get in the way. You can definitely feel them, especially right here when you're trying to pick stuff up. So I can definitely see how that would get in the way. And this one is a nice improvement on there. So props for CCM for making that small change. As you can see with fingertips, they're pretty similar all the way through. And if we straighten that one out, they honestly feel the exact same all the way through. The big differences between these two is the cuffs. So this is the whole cuff. Well, I think this one's that. It might be the one piece, but it's like the half, as you can see, where this one wraps all around. There is an option for half here. So this part doesn't come all the way through. I haven't seen it on the Axis. I think there's pictures on the CCM customizer for it. You can see the big differences between those. I wish this molded foam, as you can see on the Axis, I'm a huge fan of that, was incorporated on this one somewhere, but it isn't. But that design, both designs are pretty good for mobility. I think the Axis one is a little bit better. That one does definitely feel more open. This does adjust right here as well, just like that one does, but that one does definitely have less restriction here. This is more similar to what the Lefebvre and now True design is compared to this one, which was new for Eflex, where this one definitely does get in the way more compared to the Axis one. So personally, I think the Axis is a little bit better there. You do have that awesome Eflex wrist strap, as you can see, that pull tab, where this one is a Velcro tab, with still those really nice finishes with that rubber tab. Again, that's one of the differences where I really like the Eflex one, and I think it should just be on all gloves. But again, it's not a huge thing, but it was a nice touch. Another thing here is this one does have sure grip. Their sure grip is so bad that it's basically doesn't feel like sure grip anymore. It's pretty low quality. Bauer's getting lower quality as well. This one's really bad too. And that's not just because it's used, like that's just, there's not a ton of grip there compared to normal material. This one doesn't have it at all. It's just Nash. So that's about it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Remember to like this video, subscribe to me, usually follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. If you want to see me review a specific piece of gear, like I mentioned, please reach out to manufacturers and let them know on social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Helps me get on the radar. And if you say, hey, could you send a demo set to that person to review? It would greatly help me because I ask and nothing happens. With that said, if you want to help support the channel and you are in the United States, click on the link in the description to Pure Hockey and Pure Goalie. Click that link, make a purchase, gives me a kickback. All that will go right back into the channel so I can keep doing more reviews. Otherwise, if you're not in the United States or if you just want to support the channel, check out Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon link in the description. Everything that goes through there will come right back into the channel so I keep making videos and doing more content and actual reviews. Yes, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it was helpful and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.